Hi everyone, I'm in the city of Geelong to tell you all about the wonderful bollards of artist Jan Mitchell. Jan Mitchell was an Australian artist born in Melbourne. She spent most of her younger years living in Healesville, Victoria, before moving to Ireland, where she was noted for designing and creating the country's first preschool television show named Bosco. She returned to Australia in 1986 after 20 years in England and Ireland and settled in Geelong in 1990. She created her first bollard in Barwon Heads as part of an Artist in Schools program. She took the concept of the Bay Walk bollards to Geelong City Commissioners in 1994, and by 1999 there were over 100 brightly painted bollards made out of recovered wharf pylons scattered along the foreshore. Her bollards can also be seen at the Melbourne Airport. Geelong is famous for its Bay Walk bollards, and they each have a story to tell for everyone who passes by. The first bollard depicts a lime burner. One of Geelong's earliest industries was lime burning, and as early as 1841, lime was exported to Tasmania. The next bollard is of Matthew Flinders, who sighted Corio Bay from the Yangs in May 1802. Following this is a Portuguese explorer. The Portuguese explorers were said to have landed before Captain Cook. Next we have the KOORI family. This family illustrates the local hunter-gatherer culture. In 1852, the original Geelong Hospital was founded near this site. This blue-eyed nurse represents the new Geelong Hospital, built in 1924. The next bollards represent the Eastern Beach Open Sea Bathers at the former site of the Eastern Parkside Baths, built in 1930. The bathing tableau is a display of changing styles of bathing costumes. It features an 1880s woman, a 1920s man, a 1940s woman, a 1950s woman, and a 1930s lifesaver. Next are the Eastern Beach Lifesavers. Within this group, there is a portrait of Billy Coit, who taught many generations of Geelong's children to swim. The next bollards are of Robert de Bruce Johnson and Ian McDonald. Robert de Bruce Johnson was the Mayor of Geelong's Parks and Gardens, and nearby Johnson Park is named in his honour. Ian McDonald was Geelong's city surveyor who produced the plans of the Eastern Beach complex, which opened in 1939. The car rally picnic couple are positioned at the site of vintage car rallies and speed trials. In 1983, Stephen Durnley founded the Ulysses Motorcycle Club for older riders. Since its beginnings, the Ulysses Club has grown to be one of the biggest motorcycle clubs in the country. The next bollards are the Bathing Beauties. The beachfront in Geelong was once the venue for beauty competitions from the 1930s. The Town Baths Swimmers Club is a progression of lifesavers displaying the changing styles of men's swimming trunks. Next is the Joy Arc sandwich board man. This gentleman advertises the Joy Arc, which was built in 1912 as a silent picture movie hall and entertainment venue. It was situated on the sandy section of Eastern Beach, built in 1912 and demolished in the 1920s. It served as a dance hall and cinema, and in its last days was used to store wool bales. The Joy Arc became a hall popular for dance and roller skating in 1914, with fancy dress often featured. The early Geelong footballer stands across from nearby Transvaal Square, which was once used for football practice. This is a portrait of the proprietor of La Cabine, Mrs. de Carteret. Kitty de Carteret ran La Cabine Tea Room for 30 years, and the venue was most famous for Kitty's lemon squash. Geelong's Yacht Club was formed in 1859. The lady is holding the trophy won by the Paddy after racing in the first Geelong regatta. Established in 1854, the Geelong Volunteer Fire Brigade is represented by this figure reflecting the burning of the Lightning in 1869. The wooden ship Lightning was destroyed by fire while loading wool at Geelong on 31st of October 1869. It was scuttled in CORIO Bay and the remains were later blown up. It was reputed to be one of the fastest sailing ships and very famous in the Australian passenger trade. From the early 1800s, fish and crustaceans from Geelong were marketed and sold locally as well as in Melbourne. These bollards represent a scallop fisherman and a woman. This is a 1940s tram conductress. Trams in Geelong ran from 1912 to 1956 until they were replaced by buses. Some of Geelong's most recognisable bollards are the Volunteer Rifle Band, playing the Geelong Polka. This group represents players in Geelong's first band concerts, which were held in the Botanic Gardens in 1861. The Geelong Bath Swimming Club. A carnival atmosphere prevailed on the bay during the early Geelong regattas. Activities included duck hunting, greasy pole competitions, bun eating contests, and races in bathtubs. This Second World War sailor and woman couple represent the Sailors' Rest Institution building. It's now a restaurant on the corner of Moorabool Street and Eastern Beach Road. The steam captain was the captain of the steamship SS Edina from 1888 to 1938. The Edina was one of the longest serving steam vessels anywhere in the world. The sail captain brought live birds to stock the nearby Botanic Gardens aviaries, and also features a portrait of a recent Mayor of Geelong, Perry Smith. The Victoria Bath Swimmers represent the Victoria Bathing Establishment in 1870. These are the Western Beach Sea Bathing Company swimmers, established in 1872. There are also portraits of politicians Gordon Scholes, Nipper Trezise, John Howard, Jeff Kennett, and Sir Hubert Opperman as a young man. Born in Geelong in 1882, Carrie Moore became a musical comedy star performing in Melbourne at age 14 and in London at age 21, and was best known for her role as the Merry Widow. Peter Lalor was an Irish-Australian rebel and later politician who rose to fame for his leading role in the Eureka Rebellion. The Salvation Army woman represents the Salvation Army, which has been active in Geelong since 1883. The CORIO Rowing Club was founded in 1873. Here rowers stand beside their original boat shed built in 1879. It is now home to the Western Beach Boat Club. This 1920s lady represents the emancipation of the 1920s. Sunbathing regulations were enforced up to the 1930s. In 1872, the Geelong Botanic Gardens' second curator was John Raddenbury. He was known for the magnificent ferneries he created. In this bollard, he can be seen wearing a stem of daphne, which is a plant he introduced to Australia. This bollard is Nancy NATTYKNICKERS, who sits astride her velocipede. The first velocipede was made in Geelong in 1869. These bollards represent fishing, which has always been popular in Geelong. James Harrison is the founding editor of the Geelong Advertiser and is also remembered as the inventor of the mechanical refrigeration process, creating ice, and founder of the Victorian Iceworks as a result. He's often called the father of refrigeration. Following the opening of the Geelong-Ballarat railway line in 1862, Geelong became a popular destination for Sunday school picnics. The early Scottish settlers brought their popular Highland games to Geelong. The Wathaurong people of this area are depicted by this hunter, who is wearing a possum skin cloak. This family, tucked away in the alcove by the old bluestone wall, represents the many Geelong families who have picnicked by the bay since first settlement. This 1910s policeman is ready to pounce on a couple who are breaking the strict segregation bathing regulations of the day. And here are a pair of swimmers who are going against the bathing regulations of the time. The Sisters of Mercy of the Sister House located in St Helens played an important role in educating residents of early Geelong. Sister Mary Aloysius and Sister Mary Bernadette were two such nuns. This is the Rippleside Swimming Club. Geelong children were taught how to swim by using a kerosene tin float situated near the site of the CORIO bathing establishment, founded in 1844. Student teachers Elsie and Lydia represent Lunan House, which was built in 1851 and used as a trainee teachers' college between 1949 and 1984. Morris Jacobs of Jacobs Stores, now called Myers, kept a bird aviary at his residence on the Esplanade in Drumcondra. These bollards, which are in the Geelong Botanic Gardens, represent the first curator of the gardens, Daniel Bunce, alongside a young lady. If you look carefully, you'll see that many of the bollards feature a rabbit. In 1859, a man named Thomas Austin imported 24 wild rabbits from England to Geelong and released them into the wild for sport hunting. Within a number of years, those 24 rabbits multiplied into millions. So there we have our tour of the Geelong waterfront bollards. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for joining me.